Tuesday after Epiphany.
A reading from the first letter of St. John. Beloved, let us love one another, because love is of God. Everyone who loves is begotten by God and knows God. Whoever is without love does not know God, for God is love. In this way the love of God was revealed to us. God sent his only begotten Son into the world so that we might have life through him. In this is love. Not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as expiation for our sins. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, Lord, every nation on earth will adore you. O God, with your judgment endow the king, and with your justice the king's son. He shall govern your people with justice, and your afflicted ones with judgment. Lord, every nation on earth will adore you. The mountains shall yield peace for the people, and the hills justice. He shall defend the afflicted among the people, save the children of the poor. Lord, every nation on earth will adore you. Justice shall flower in his days, and profound peace, till the moon be no more. May he rule from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. Lord, every nation on earth will adore you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. When Jesus saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. By now it was already late, and his disciples approached him and said, "This is a deserted place, and it is already very late. Dismiss them so that they can go to the surrounding farms and villages and buy themselves something to eat." He said to them in reply, "Give them some food yourselves." But they said to him, "Are we to buy 200 days' wages worth of food and give it to them to eat?" He asked them, "How many loaves do you have? Go and see." And when they had found out, they said, 5 loaves and 2 fish. So he gave orders to have them sit down in groups on the green grass. The people took their places in rows by hundreds and by 50s. Then, taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he said the blessing, broke the loaves, and gave them to his disciples to set before the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. They all ate and were satisfied. And they picked up 12 wicker baskets full of fragments and what was left of the fish. Those who ate of the loaves were 5,000 men. The Gospel of the Lord.
The first reading is from the first letter of John, chapter 4, verses 7 to 10. In this passage, we're encouraged to love one another, because anyone who loves belongs to God, because God has taught us what love means. And he taught us what love means by sending his Son into the world. And Jesus dying for us is the lesson of what true love is all about. Love is not a feeling and affection. Love, rather, is being willing to die to oneself in order to live for the other. And then we hear at the very end of the passage that God sent his Son as an expiation for our sins. Now that verse is one of the reasons why we believe that the author of the first letter of John is probably not the author of the Gospel, because the idea of expiation is an idea not found in the Gospel. In the Gospel, our sins are forgiven simply because we're loved by God. In the first letter of John, we also have expiation, that Jesus paid the price for our sins. The Gospel is from Mark 6, 34 to 44. This is the account of the miraculous multiplication of loaves and fish for the 5,000. Now this account is one of 2 in the Gospels of Mark and Matthew. The 5,000 are fed are Jewish people, and therefore at the end there'll be 12 baskets left over. When Jesus multiplies the loaves and fish for the 4,000, they're Gentiles, and when the meal is over, there are 7 baskets left over. 7, the perfect number, enough for all the people throughout the world, whereas the 12 baskets for the 5,000, 12 for the 12 tribes of Israel. Jesus looks at these people like sheep without a shepherd, and that already gives us a little bit of a symbolism of what Jesus is going to do. He's going to feed these sheep, and in fact, he has them recline on the green grass. That's an allusion to Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In verdant pastures, he gives me repose. And just in case we don't get that symbolism, after he does this miracle, he goes out for a walk on the lake. Beside restful waters, he leads me. When they first told the story of the miraculous multiplication of loaves and fish, they were already thinking of Psalm 23. And so they put allusions to that in the account at a very early stage of the recounting of this story. When Jesus sees that they're in a deserted place, he tells his disciples to go and buy some food for these people. And what's their response? Even 200 days' wages, 200 denarii, wouldn't be enough. So he's brought 5 loaves and 2 fish. He blesses it and multiplies it into enough food to feed the 5,000. Now some people would say that this is a social miracle, that Jesus shared all the food he had, and everybody thought how generous he is and shared their food, which is a beautiful story, but it's just not what's portrayed in this account, because this is a nature miracle, a miracle in which Jesus changes the rules of nature. And we see that again because immediately after that he walks upon the water. He's able to transform the rules of nature so that they serve the purpose of God more clearly. Jesus had the authority, had the power to be able to perform miracles then and now. And may God bless us.